All right.
All set.
All set.
So Rena, what do we do?
You can go ahead and start the meeting. We do ask that you read off of the very first page of the agenda, which is the South Pasadena Public Works Commission Statement of Civility and the Notice of Public Participation and Accessibility.
Great. I'm calling to order the meeting of the Public Works Commission of the City of South Pasadena, and we are meeting over Zoom. Public advisory: the City Council chambers will not be open to the public. The South Pasadena Public Works Commission Statement of Civility. As your governing board, we will treat each other and members of the public and city employees with patience, civility, and courtesy as a model of the same behavior we wish to reflect in South Pasadena for the conduct of all city business and community participation. The decisions made tonight will be for the benefit of the South Pasadena community and not for personal gain. Notice on public participation and accessibility. Pursuant to Section 3 of the Executive Order N-29-20 issued by Governor Newsom on March 17, 2020, the special meeting of the Public Works Commission for May 12, 2021 will be conducted remotely and held by Zoom video conference. Please be advised that pursuant to the executive order and to ensure the health and safety of the public by limiting human contact that could spread the COVID-19 virus, the City Council chambers will not be open for the meeting. Commissioners will be participating remotely and will not be physically present in the council chambers. To maximize public safety while still maintaining transparency and public access, members of the public can observe the meeting via Zoom in one of the three methods below. Public Works Commission Zoom webinar meeting information, meeting ID 961-8392-6963. Do I have to read all of the information on how to go to the Zoom website? Go to the Zoom website at https://zoom.us, join, and enter the Zoom meeting information accordingly, or click on the following unique Zoom meeting link. You may listen to the meeting by calling 1-669-900-6833 and entering the Zoom meeting ID and passcode when prompted to do so. For additional Zoom assistance with telephone audio, you may find your local number at https://zoom.us/u/ACRWULGBG DB. Important note, members of the public may access the meeting to observe the meeting's proceedings. However, at this time, there is no live real-time participation by members of the public. So for future information to members of the public, public comments must be received by 12 p.m. And were there any public comments received, Rena?
No public comments.
So for future meetings, well, maybe we'll be in person, but that is what has been the procedure.
I think during the next commission meeting, if we're not in person, we will be able to have live participation.
Okay, great.
Nice.
So we'll call the meeting to order, and Rena, do you take the roll call?
Yes. Commissioner Frank Catania.
Catania.
I'm sorry, I don't get it next time. Here. Commissioner Sam Hernandez.
Here.
Commissioner Charles Trevino.
Here.
Chair Julie Riley.
Here.
Vice Chair David Malling will be arriving closer to 7 p.m. today, so he did let us know ahead of time. City Council Liaison Evelyn Snymer.
Here.
And the staff present today, Acting Deputy Director for Public Works, Gary Crawford.
Here.
Acting Deputy Director for Public Works, Natana Tesfaye.
Present.
And Public Works Management Assistant, myself, Reyna Salazar Martin.
Perfect.
Thank you.
And then if we could ask Commissioner Hernandez to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, did that last year. Could you please stand? I don't see a flag there, Charlie, where's the flag? Oh, it's behind you. There you are. Okay, for your right hand. with your heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one
nation,
nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. And Raina has already pointed out that we do not have any public comment.
Okay.
So the
Correct.
next
Perfect.
item is, we're under discussion items, Proposition 68 Stormwater Project between Pasadena and South Pasadena. We're looking for a status update.
Yes, I wish I can come and say that it was awarded. So last Wednesday, the Upper Los Angeles River WASC met and scored. The steering committee met, and so the project for South Pasadena and Pasadena was scored number 6. They're going to be meeting on May 20th again to finalize that. We're hopeful that, it will be scored high, and the $4.7 million that we're requesting will be awarded for that project. So I was hoping to get you good news because they did meet on the 5th. However, they scored it at number 6 so far. So that's a good sign.
Is number 6 of how many?
They had about 16 that were asking for funding, and all depends
Great.
on, yeah, so we're fingers crossed. Hopefully I'll get back to you with the better news saying it's been awarded so that the project can go forward.
Madam Chair Riley, may I ask a question?
Oh, yes.
So what did they indicate to you? What were the shortcomings in your proposal?
Well, they don't say it. The steering committee members are the ones that score every project based on the different criteria that's presented. So they haven't provided it. Pasadena is a lead on this project. It's a multi-jurisdictional project for both, beneficial to Pasadena and South Pasadena. So once that's finalized, they'll give us where the scorings are. So I'm following up with Pasadena to find out those details.
I just wondered because we're going through some kind of on the regional oversight board, looking at criteria and how we define criteria in terms of what we're looking for. So I just wondered if there was any feedback from the group, but I guess you said no feedback from the committee.
It should be there, but I think once it's finalized, they can give us back what scorings are based on the different criteria that they have been given to score the projects, because it has several components: beneficial use for the city and cleaning up the water quality of the stormwater and so forth. So as of yet, when I attended the meeting last week, they had just randomly scored it, and they were still tinkering to see which projects they're going to fund based on the criteria that has been scored. So,
Right. Thank you.
you're
Thank
right.
you.
If we don't receive the money, that means we should ask where we scored. If we receive it, thank you very much. Okay.
We're pushing hard. I mean, we're hopeful that it's going to score high and it'll be funded so the project can move forward.
Yeah, we run into similar scoring and feedback like we do with the MAP program and other grant applications. So usually we get the positive and the negative feedback when everything's closed out. And then, even if we are awarded, we do look at what we could have done better for next time as well.
Good.
That happens next Thursday.
Yes, I think I've looked to wait for their invitation. May 20th is tentative date because they have to get these projects finalized and before the end of the fiscal year. So,
And that's nothing that we should listen in on or anything like that, or
you
Not
can,
really.
but I am going to be attending just in case they have questions for the applicants that have put together. City of Pasadena does attend it. As a matter of fact, one of the committee members is from the city of Pasadena, so there is a vested interest for both cities.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Any more questions on this item or discussion? Okay, the next item we have is the Public Works Commission CIP project status and update.
So as we know, due to COVID, we didn't have a very robust capital improvement program this last year, but we do have everything from last year, and we're going through it with ourselves and the other departments to ensure that nothing gets forgotten and left behind, and adjusting all the projects. So we'll be ready to go, first thing, the new fiscal year. So once the budget, the city's operational budget is approved, then we'll get our CIP budget approved as well, and we'll kind of know what we have and which projects we can prioritize. That will, as projects come through, we'll bring to the commission for recommendations for council. Just so you know, the street improvement project for 1819 is almost done being designed, and we're about 75–80% finished with the design for the 1920. So it's our it's Public Works Department goal to get both of those projects funded and constructed next year, and then we're going to bring the street segments to council early in the fiscal year for approval for the next 5 years, so we can start designing those segments right away, so we don't fall behind. So that's kind of the overall update. We'll do presentations as it gets closer, on facilities, water, and then and as those come through, and as we prioritize those projects. So if there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer anything you guys, the commission has.
So when you say design the street work, what do you mean by design?
Oh, sure. So for the major street rehabilitation program, so the consultants come out with staff, and we looked at the segments that were approved previously by council, and they recommend whether we need to do chip seals or slurry seals or full mill and fills, that kind of, and they'll design the ADA curb ramps that we need to upgrade as part of the program. That's what they're designing. So then we can hand those plans over to the construction company and have them build the roads correctly or rehabilitate the roads correctly.
Okay, so that the major disasters that we've had, and I call them major, where we've had some main water lines pop in the street, and we've had cave-ins in the street, and we've had patches, and would that be considered then as a design for the street to be overhauled?
Yes. So based on the pavement management program that was put together by Bucknam from 2020 to 2025, those street segments will come before council, and if there's reprioritization, then that would be handled either by MTech or the city council, and then we would follow those instructions.
Okay. And when does that come out again?
We should be, both of those designs, 1819 and 1920 are almost finished, so those will go out to bid for construction, for summer next year. And then probably, because the new deputies are coming on board soon, so I'm hoping by the end of the first quarter, second quarter of the next fiscal year, then those street segments will be on a council agenda for approval.
Okay.
That's the goal.
I know Evelyn was going to ask about Indiana. Okay.
I will make that note.
Okay. And if she wasn't, I was.
I had a feeling.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Commissioner Trevino.
Yes. I wonder if it would help us if we could get a glossary of terms that are commonly used in public works from staff.
That sounds like a great idea.
Sure. I think we could work on something like that. Is there in anything I was saying that was not understood? Please let me clarify. I'd be more than happy to.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned 3 types of street improvements. Okay, I need to get clarification what that means.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, the other thing too, I want to mention, I don't know if it falls in our sphere of influence. I'm very concerned about the availability of water for any new developments in our city. I'm very concerned, I know we're under mandate by the state to create housing. And I know that we're trying to comply with that mandate. But I'm concerned that we need to also strike a balance between having enough water supply to meet 100,000 new units. And also that to me is a main concern, obviously parking and noise, traffic congestion, and the lights over there by the freeway that constantly cause backups up and down Fair Oaks. But the most important thing to me on a level where I'm concerned about right now is the availability of water. Are we going to have enough potable water to supply 100,000 homes,
Sure.
or 50,000 or 20,000 homes? I mean, I don't know what the housing plan is specifically, but I know they're talking about development here on this street, that street, multi-use, mixed use, commercial on the bottom, housing on the top, which I understand. But yeah, so maybe you can expound on that a little bit.
Sure. I'll speak generally, and then for more specifically for the water, I'll have Antenna chime in. So when any of these new developments, to the best of my understanding, I know a lot of this goes through planning, but I have some knowledge, so I'll do my best to give you a general understanding. They have to do water and sewer studies and surveys that are done by engineering firms, and then then the developer would be made to pay, I think they'd pay sewer and water impact fees to ensure that those new service lines and any costs that we would incur, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, Antenna, that they would then pay those fees so that it doesn't get passed on to the other ratepayers. And then they wouldn't be able to build those developments until the infrastructure was in place to ensure that, obviously if someone doesn't turn on the tap and they don't have water, it's an issue. So, but if Antenna, you want to chime in?
Yes. In regards to the water availability, that's also covered in the urban water management plan and how the city, depending on the population, goes. With respect to new construction that's coming into the city, if you recall, City Council passed a water and sewer capacity charge back in 2015 to combat the new stress on the system, infrastructure repair, and also the water rights, or, if the city has to pay more money to get more water. So that is looked into it. In addition to that, when we finalize our integrated water resources master plan, that would also has a component of growth, including the RENA numbers that's required. But that also it's a planning thing, but we're also looking into that. How would that impact the city's water supply, current and moving forward, since now that, there's drought in Southern California and so forth. So it is being looked at multiple facets to ensure we have water availability moving forward.
Yeah, and thank you for that, Tasha. Thank you very much for that. But my concern is we get hit up with different charges on our water bill, capacity charge and charges for the fact that we conserved, and so even if you conserve, there's still a charge. And I really feel that we need to have developers have more skin in the game. Okay. Something that the city of LA should have been doing a long time ago when they developed the arts district downtown, and giving too much leeway to the developers. But we're not going to go there right now. I'm concerned about South Pasadena. But we really need to have developers step up to the plate on this. This city is an older city. Its infrastructure is very, very old. And in some areas of this city, the infrastructure is on a ventilator, so to speak, trying to get oxygen. And so we need to really strike a balance with our development and our water needs and our sewer needs, and any new development rather. So this is just my concern, and that probably doesn't fall under this committee or this commission rather, but I think it's important that there be some kind of discussion on this. Thank you.
I might just weigh in on one thing, that the developers do pay an arm and a leg. It was over $120,000 that we paid for the sewer connection for Mama's Pizza. Existing sewer line, and all we did was put in 2 new existing bathrooms, and that's really the kitchen. So developers are paying an arm and a leg. And it's unfortunate that it's taken as long as it is to get the development going. I think we're mandated by the state now to put in over 2,000, I think it's 2,060 if I'm not mistaken, new residences over the next 8 years, which is about 2,000 more than the last 8 years. So they're putting a big burden on developers and cities to put this thing together.
And
And-
Tana, on the same subject, do we have experience doing water supply assessments at South Pasadena?
Yeah.
In the city?
Yes, well, when we do our urban water management plan every year, we use that as well.
Because that would be interesting, I think, for the commissioners to review. At my workplace, they have a variety of different water sources, but I'm thinking here we probably are limited to the water that water rights we already have, and then the water we are allowed to buy from our supplemental water supplier. And I think maybe Commissioner Trevino can tell us if there is a limit on. I mean, I know there is. There's a limit on
Yes.
how much of that is available for us to purchase.
Well,
So-
on one hand, we're very we're very fortunate here. We have wells here that provide water, about 80% of the supply, and the rest of it you buy from Metropolitan Water District through us, through Upper District. But my concern is, and it's always been my concern for a long time, is the emerging constituents of wells and water constituents in water, and what impact it'll have down the road on us, because we do depend on our wells for 80% of that. The last time we had an episode where we had to buy water from additional water from Metropolitan, and we went into a tier 2 or tier 3, it was a very expensive water for us to buy. And I don't know the exact figure of the number, but the point is, I guess, is that are we visionary enough? Are we looking down the road enough? And to say, well, let's not just depend on our well water. Let's just develop some other sources of water. One of the things that I've said is that it really would be great for us to make the investment into recycled water in the city. And I know it's a difficult task because we're so far away from the major what we have is USG3 which is our major pipeline from Upper District. And so I was thinking maybe working with the city of Pasadena to develop some kind of program that could be something that could be developed, a plan to bring recycled water through Pasadena to the city of South Pasadena. But we need to develop some kind of some backup, some plan on water. I don't want us to be back into a tier 3 or tier 2 with Metropolitan. It's very, very expensive water. So I hope we're doing it, thinking about doing something to enhance our supply of water. And I don't know if we can do this. You mentioned this extra charge. Would that be on the developers? Would that be on the residents?
No, to clarify, the water and sewer impact fee is only to developers, and this is new development that's coming into town. That was a foresight in council back in 2015 to make sure that any burden on the city was offset by the developers bringing in the demand. So it is for new construction, new developments that it applies to.
And I understand where Sam's coming from, because I certainly understand his concern. That the city has been very, very slow in approving new development in the city. Look how long it took Port Tuis to get running. It took them quite a while to get through all the plan checks and the approvals and so forth. So on one hand, we want tax revenue in this city. We need tax revenue, so the burden does not fall on the residents on more taxes and more fees and etc. So on one hand, we need that, but on the other hand, we also need to have some kind of a balance of development, so that it is fair to the residents and to the city's infrastructure.
And just as a reminder to anyone who's watching the meeting, we do see your questions, but unfortunately, we're not able to respond to them because we're not accepting live participation. But if you would like to email any of us, we can follow up with you at that time.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Great.
I've
Yeah.
used the bully pulpit enough.
Okay, so does anyone else have any questions or comments on the CIP project status and update? If not, I think we can move on to our one action item, which is the minutes from the regular meeting of the Public Works Commission on March 10th, 2021. Has everyone had a chance to review them? And if so, do we have a motion to approve them?
With,
Moved by Trevino.
and I'll second with the correction on my last name.
Yes. So
Thank
the
you.
minutes that we'll be posting, just a heads up, we'll have that slight typo amendment. And so those are the ones that will be routed to you, Chair Riley, with the correction. And it's not on content, it's just that simple typo. So we'll just do a quick roll call for the approval of the minutes. Commissioner Frank Cantadilla,
Aye.
Commissioner Frank Sam Hernandez, Commissioner Charles Trevino,
Aye.
Chair Julie Riley,
Aye.
and we don't seem to have Vice Chair David Malling in just yet, so we'll just put him as an absent vote at this moment. And so with unanimous vote of 4, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Great, we accomplished something. So next we have Councilmember Zanaimer, who has joined us today, and we would be interested in hearing her communication from City Council.
Yes, I'm very proud to inform this commission that on May 5th, the City Council unanimously approved and directed staff to solicit proposals for a full-blown structural analysis of the West Side Reservoir, and that the report should provide with recommendations for rehabilitation and replacement alternatives. It also approved the appropriation of $100,000 from the Water Enterprise Fund reserves to the water production account for the cost of the study. This was predicated in my conversation with Director Abbas regarding the state of the water reservoir that supplies the tap drinking water in the entire Biliki high pressure zone. The reservoir currently holds 2.2 million gallons of water. And on May 3rd, Monday, Mayor Pro Tem Caccioti, Director Abbas, and Deputy Director Esfaye and I toured the reservoir and the pumping station. We actually climbed up to the roof and had a very nice view of our property. This sits on a huge acreage of virgin lands of South Pass. I don't know how we acquired this property, but it's really hidden, this reservoir, and there's also a storage area. With my high heels on, it was to climb that steel ladder. Anyway, the reservoir was built in 1963 and it's about 50 years old. Thanks to Anthony, he provided me with photos, and then I took some also of the physical, physicality of the reservoir, and we found a lot of cracks all around the walls of the reservoir, and at the moment it's just bonded by epoxy. And there were also parts of the walls that had fallen to the ground, and on the eastern part, we actually discovered that there were no steel rebars supporting the rim of the roof. Now the roof, I think, is about 60 feet wide, and now it was originally flat when it was constructed in 1963, but now it has this sombrero effect so that the rim is collapsing and it's ponding water when it rains. So then the crew had to pump out water. And the reason for the protruding center is that there are steel supports around the center, but there are no steel rebars around the brim, the perimeter. So there's probably a tendency for it to flip and collapse. So that's what we're trying to prevent. And there were also metal rebars that were popping out on top of the roof and also on the side of the walls. So it's in a, and moreover, the reservoir, when it was built in 1963, did not meet the seismic requirements as required by the state. So it's a little bit of a concern. So with that, I would like to thank Director Abbas and Deputy Director Desfai for really helping prepare the report, and it passed unanimously by council. So thank you very much.
So is it's going to be a replacement and not a repair?
We will need to wait for the consultant's report,
Okay.
whether it's going to be a full replacement or rehabilitation.
Okay. All right.
I mean, Anthony can correct me if I'm wrong.
I think the assessment is going to look at the overall, and then based on that, we'll come up with a recommendation based on the conditions. What the best option is to either replace or repair. Okay.
Is there a site available for a new one?
It should be at the place. I mean, we don't
Okay.
have any other location yet. It's at the site.
I mean, can you take that one down and rebuild on the same site?
That is what we did that for the Wilson Reservoir in the
Okay.
source back in 2014, 2012 and 2014. So the same, yeah, there is ample site, and definitely put a clear well temporary system based on what's needed. Yeah, it has ample.
Thank you.
Any other commissioner questions?
I see
Comments?
Dave's joined us too. Welcome, Dave.
Hello, Commissioner Malling.
Hi, everybody.
We took care of the important action of approving the minutes. So.
Oh, great. Wonderful. Sorry, I got stuck on a little thing called parental duties. So, my apologies.
So our next item is Commissioner Communication. So it's a good time for you to join us. I think we can all talk about anything that we would like to share with the rest of the commissioners. I would start with a roundtable, but I would also be interested in hearing if we can share some of our priorities now that we've been on this commission. Most of us for a little over a year, and Commissioner Catania has joined us. That we're figuring out what this commission is supposed to do, and maybe we have some recommendations on whether our scope should be increased based on some discussions we've had today, or whether there is a commission or a body within the city council that might want to be focusing on some of the issues that Commissioner Trevino brought up. Commissioner Malling, would you like to start?
Sure. I think mine is more of a, I'd like to get back to pre-COVID and see if we could, have a sit-down meeting at the city council chambers, if at all possible. Love to see if that's something we could put on the calendar now that the CDC has given us guidelines that will allow us to do that. So want to throw that out there. And, getting back to what you were saying, Julie, I think what would be nice is for us also, establish a list of priorities for all of us to gather and to see, okay, what can we do to help and support the city of South Pasadena Public Works Department accordingly, and so that prior to these meetings, we kind of have some good agenda items to discuss and go over accordingly. So that's it for me. Just wanted to kind of throw that out there.
Yeah, just to respond, Vice Chair Malling, the city is working towards getting back to live meetings, and what that'll look like, we're not exactly sure yet, but we are working towards it, so it is coming. And then in regards to coming up with some other priorities and maybe adjusting the work plan, I think if you, on the next meeting or the, one of the future meetings, if we put it on there as an action item, we can do that. We can have those more in-depth discussions.
Yeah, that would be great. And then finally, maybe we could establish a date and time that we could all do a tour of all the facilities. I'm sure all the commissioners would welcome that opportunity if at all possible.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely speak to the stakeholders and see how we can make that work.
That would be great. Thank you.
Commissioner Catania, would you like to share any thoughts? Or?
Certainly, I don't have a lot to say because this is only my second meeting, but what I did notice is that the agenda provided for a project status and update item. A couple of years ago, I did some temporary work for the city while I was between commissions and did a lot of review on the budget and noticed that there were a lot of capital projects that would be under the responsibility of the Public Works Department. It might be good in the future to receive a periodic status report on a list of the active projects and where they are in the implementation phases. Doesn't have to be in great detail and doesn't have to be frequent, but maybe quarterly or something like that for us to take a look at. That would probably generate some additional questions and educate all of us on where the city is going and how they're moving forward.
That sounds great. And I think that that's something that you have in the works, Garrett and Antenna, right? That's something that we heard about last year during one of our meetings. Commissioner Trevino.
I just want to ditto everything my other two colleagues have said. I concur with them. And I think that you've already heard my comments. And but I think a tour of our facilities, that definitely is something that would be in order to get an idea of where we're at. But yeah, no, I concur with my two previous colleagues on some of the recommendations, and it should be an agendized item that we can talk about what we see as the future of this commission and where we're going. Thank you.
And Commissioner Hernandez.
Well, I want to first commend Evelyn for going to one of the sites. And if she can walk in high heels up ladders, I think we should be able to join and visit those sites as well. I also want to commend our Public Works for jumping on the water explosion. We had a 12-inch main line on, I think it's 12-inch main line on Indiana, gave way, I guess about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And then the following week, we had another line give out, I think on Alta Vista, I think, or Alta Loma. Anyhow, we've had 2 main lines and we didn't have to call in outside contractors, that we handle it within house, which is always a good sign too, that we've got the staff that can handle it as quickly as they have. So I commend you and I thank you for taking care of it as quickly as you did. Other than that, I'm just glad that we're all still around, and someday soon, I think that by our next meeting, I think we'll be able to get into the chambers. I think they're trying to get everything open by June 14th or 15th anyhow. We're looking forward to our new city manager, hopefully, Evelyn, hopefully. And I think we've got 2 other directors coming in next week or 2 also. So we look forward to getting everybody back on the run again and maybe opening up City Hall so that we can get some projects approved and underway. And other than that, I thank you for the moments.
Great. I have a couple of questions, and Antenna and I talked about this earlier, is giving a plug to Connect South Pasadena. Did I say that right? South Pasadena Connect. Because my friends and I were all wondering if we needed to boil our water when we read the different posts, because if you haven't figured out which area of the city you're in, you have to do a little digging. And I think that it sounds like it's really user friendly, and I have to admit that I will be doing it, signing up right after this meeting here. So I think that would be something that we could plug with all of the members of the public. And then I have a request for council members and I don't know if it is something that the council would be willing to do, but I've heard that we are involved in litigation involving contamination to our groundwater. And I would be interested if this commission could have a closed session briefing from your outside attorneys on that, because it deals with the quality of the water. And I think it ties into our future water supply and how reliable it is. So that's something, if the council would be willing to have that briefing for us, I think that would be educational for us. Oh, you're on mute.
Are you referring to the Dow Chemical case?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'll consult with, I have the briefing, but I'll consult with city attorney what we can disclose in our closed session.
Okay.
And I will discuss it in our next meeting. Thank you.
Great. And I think we're coming together here, and all of the commissioners have expressed our desire to help with the future of the city here, and do what we can do to support the Public Works Department itself and the City Council and how you need us. So we're excited to be a part of the solution, we hope. And then I think our next issue is staff liaison communications.
Yeah, so just want to thank everybody. And I think we had a very productive meeting, and I look forward to further refining what we'll do here together. As Commissioner Hernandez has stated, we do have 2 new deputies, starting with the city. The deputy director over water and sustainability will be starting on Monday the 17th. And then the deputy director over operations and engineering will be starting June 1st, because the Monday is a holiday. So we're getting some help coming in soon. So we're definitely excited about that, and to get to know and get to working with the new deputies. So I know Antenna and I are very excited. Also, I believe AYSO's registration is opening soon. So if anyone out there is listening, has young children that are looking to play soccer, it's a great program. It's something I did from the time I was 5 until I was 16. So I definitely recommend it. Also, we do have a tree dedication program. So if you'd like to dedicate a tree in someone's honor and add to the beauty and the robustness of our urban forest, it's always appreciated by the city and the rest of the residents. We'd be happy to plant a tree in a parkway for you in your neighborhood. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and email me and contact me, and I'll get you all the information for the program.
Not much for me, like Chair Riley said, please sign up for the Connect South Pasadena. I've signed up. It's very easy, and it not only just emergencies, but PD also posts and all the notifications you're getting. So I look forward to working with this commission to make sure that South Pasadena is well taken care of.
Great. And before we adjourn, it looks like our next meeting is scheduled for July 14th. I don't know if people want to take a look at their calendars to see if they will be in town at that time. And Raina can tell me if it's possible, if we know that we won't have a quorum, that we could reschedule.
Sounds like Julie may not be here.
I will be here.
Okay.
But I just know that, this summer, as opposed to last summer where we said, oh, sure, I'm available every single week.
Yeah,
I'm available.
I'll be out
President,
of town on the 14th, so unless I get back earlier than expected, I will not be available.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm available.
Okay. Well, it sounds like at this moment we do have a quorum.
Okay.
If also Commissioner Hernandez is available as
Yeah,
well.
I've already moved it into the calendar unless for some reason in North Carolina I should be here, but then I can always zoom in from over there too. So it's not a problem.
Okay. Well, if that changes and we do not have a quorum coming closer to our meeting date, I will definitely let the commission know, and we will post a cancellation notice if necessary. But as usual, the week prior, we send out the reminder with the agenda, and if we get back that you are not available, and we see that we won't have a quorum with those invites that we send out, yeah, we'll let everyone know right away. And what we can have is a special meeting. We can discuss with the staff what day works best for that. We can hold a special meeting, or we can just hold off all items until the next meeting. We do meet every other month, so having a special meeting in between, if the items are pressing, if that's what you would prefer, we can do that.
I'm just thinking out loud that in July, we may be back live, that we may be over in the chambers too. So,
It is a possibility, and we will definitely keep everyone posted on what, like Garrett said, what that would look like. We're just waiting for our instructions as well from city clerk's office and city managers.
Okay, great. Well, unless anyone else has further business to raise, I think we can stand adjourned.
perfect. Thank you, Julie.
Madam
Good
Chair,
night, everyone.
Thank you
thank you,
all.
everybody.
Thank you.
To everybody.
Thank you.
Be safe out there,
Good evening.
please. Thank you.
all.
Bye.
Have a good night.